Assalamu alaikum everyone. Today's presentation will give you an overview of the project which was completed as a part of Big Data Analytics course at IBA. The goal of the project was to compare the performance of Spark MlLib and Apache Mahout. Both these technologies were implemented on two separate environments. First, we'll talk about Spark MlLib. The easiest way to start using Spark is to use the Docker image provided by Jupyter. The Jupyter All-Spark Notebook gives you an easy access to Jupyter Notebooks to implement PySpark. Now, once we have pulled the image from Docker, we can run our container. I have named the container simply Spark container, and as you can see from the screenshot, this container or this image will be running on localhost 888. Now, we have to make sure that the host path should be on our local machine, while the container path should remain the same. Make sure to modify the host path to match the directory that contains the data you want to work with. Now, to access the Jupyter Notebook, open up a browser and go to localhost 8888, and the following window should pop open. Now, you can create a notebook or a console from this page. Now let us discuss about Apache Mahout. In this project, in order to implement Mahout, we have used the Zeppelin notebook. We use the following Docker Compose file. Now, as you can see from the file, the Apache Mahout Zeppelin image was used. The file uses the image which has a pre-configured Mahout plus Spark interpreter. It defines two Docker volumes which keeps the datasets and as well as the notebooks. I can start the Zeppelin container via the Docker Compose up -g tag Zeppelin command. Then I can browse the Zeppelin web in localhost 888 URL. Now, Zeppelin provides an interface to create notebooks, import notebooks, and do data visualizations. Now, let us go to Docker Hub and see if our containers are up and running. Now, as we're on the Docker Hub, you can see that both of our containers are up and running. Now, in order to go to the web browser, in order to access these containers in the web browser, we can just click on this link or go to localhost 888 or localhost 8080 for Zeppelin. Now, let us see these containers in the web browser. As you can see, we are on the Zeppelin notebook interface. We can create new notebooks using the notebook tab here, and we can see all the jobs that are running using the job tab here. Now, I have already some notebooks that I've created previously. Let us take a tour of these notebooks. Now, we'll be implementing the ordinary least square method using Mahout. Now, for Mahout to work, when starting a session with Apache Mahout, and depending on which engine you are using, whether it be Spark or Flink, a few imports must be made and a distributed context must be declared. Now, as you can see from the screen, that we have done all the necessary imports and created the context. Now, we have imported the necessary class, which is regression.ordinary least squares, and we have imported the data which is required for this task. Now, we will declare the x and y variables, and we'll fit the model on the we'll fit our model on the ordinary least square method. Now, as we can see, we have the coefficients, estimates, standard error, t-score, and the predicted values. Now, this was a very basic program which was run in Mahout. Now, for other programs, there were a lot of methods which were depreciated, so not a lot of algorithms could be implemented in Mahout. However, I have implemented linear regression and OLS Mahout, which are discussed in detail in the report. So I'll not be going over them in detail in this video. Now, let's move on to Spark MlLib. Now, as I have mentioned before, for implementing Spark MlLib, we have used the Jupyter Spark Notebook. I have implemented algorithms of regression and classification both. Now, we can see two notebooks here. One is for regression, one is for classification. Both these notebooks have been shared along with the project report in the folder which was submitted. Now, we have used the concept of pipelines, string indexer, one-hot encoding to do all these to implement all these methods, And we have also used for scoring R score as well as least square as well as mean squares. We have also used ROC curve and confusion metrics for classification, and mean square for regression. Now, all these algorithms have been discussed in detail in the report mentioned, so I will not be discussing them again in this video. Now, this will be all for this project. Thank you.